Good morning and welcome to Monday Morning MOCHA. I'm your host, Dr. Gregory Todd, and today I'm joined by the Associate Executive Director for Outreach and Teens of the YMCA YM program, Mr. Lavar Click. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Good morning. How's everything with you?
Fantastic. And it's always a pleasure. I've looked forward to having you on the podcast. So I'm really grateful that you're here. So before we get started, give us a little background on your history of being on the Springfield City Council.
Yeah, so brief history. Born and raised in the city of Springfield. Grew up in the Mason Square neighborhoods, the heart of the city. My mother and my dad really put in a lot of work in the city, and I've always seen from them the importance to give back to the community. Grew up going to Springfield Public Schools. Grew up at the Dunbar Community Center, where I also learned from some great folks at the Dunbar, particularly George Big Will Williams, who mentored us with the game of basketball, but also taught us the game of life, and that's more important. So I have, 5 beautiful kids. We have 3, me and my wife, that she birthed, and then we adopted 2.
Okay. So that's a little basketball team in itself.
Yes, in itself, exactly. And I've been married for 20 years.
Nice.
But what really led me and what kind of geared me towards being into politics was just being around, and my dad telling me at a very young age, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Right.
So I always surrounded myself with like-minded folks, and I had an opportunity to run in a special election, actually. I wasn't looking to run for city council. I was trying to do it my way, but there were other plans. So the city council, who was in Ward 5, abruptly resigned. It just so happened I moved and everything aligned, and I had to be in this area for a year, and it was like approaching a year. So I got clearance to actually run and be on the ballot. Long story short, I'm the first in the history of the city of Springfield to win a special election here.
Okay.
And I'm excited.
Fantastic. So for a person like me, who I don't dabble that much in politics at all, how would you describe for our listeners, for example, like the actual impact that the city council can have?
Quite frankly, we help run the city.
Okay.
And issues like, for instance, a few weeks ago, I got a email. The street on Wilbraham Road isn't paved properly to the liking of a constituent, and it's in my area. So a young lady emailed me asking me to check into it. I emailed Department of Public Works. We had a chain going on, and today I got a response. It's actually what I was doing a few minutes ago, sending her the response that they're actually going to take care of it. Nice. So we're like a bridge between the mayor's office,
right,
also into the different department heads who can actually get stuff done,
okay,
for their concerns. So that's a part of it,
okay,
part of the job, and also is advocating on their behalf, and going to the State House. Particularly, we have some gun violence that's going on in the city right now, so we have to advocate for what we believe in. And for me, it's some of the stuff we have to regulate some of these guns
absolutely
on the streets.
Yeah.
How do we do that? So we have some things that we're going to be coming up with, but that's what we are. We're a bridge, and to make sure the constituents' voice is being heard at City Hall.
So following up with that and the gun violence stuff and most recent stuff specifically, how much traction do you think or support you have in terms of people feeling that you guys can actually get stuff done?
And it's a tall task because a lot of this stuff is regulated on a state level. We have to begin to change policy and procedures in order to make effective change. So I truly believe that gone are the days, not to say that it doesn't help. Gone are the days are doing the marches and the prayer meetings and all that stuff. No, we got to begin to think smarter and change some laws, because that's where it's at. Systemic racism is real. So we have to begin to attack it policy wise. And there is a place for the prayers and all that stuff, but there is also another piece to this. And I think that's where I come in and some other folks who are on the city council come in to actually help make these changes and make them effectively.
Absolutely. So it sounds also like you're talking a little bit about like this evolution of community leaders, dare I say, a little bit? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess in your opinion, what do you think that evolution has looked like? So you can use yourself as an example, or,
Yeah, I believe in everything happens. Everybody has their time, right? So we learn from others. So when I was coming up, it was more, and I'm 45, by the way. So when I was coming up, it was more, we're gonna go to this community center. We're gonna play basketball. We're gonna play around this local area, and that's it. So when we talk about evolution, I'm gonna get to politics in a minute, but
absolutely.
Now I'm a coach when I was in my 30s. So I took what someone knew early when I was a kid, took that knowledge, and actually I gained more knowledge. So now, as I have my teams now, I began to say, hey, all right, we're going to be at the community center, play local leagues, but now we're going to travel to see the world. So now we're going to go to Florida. We're going to go to Las Vegas. We're going to, so we push the envelope forward. So hopefully somebody behind me will be able to take them, hey, let's go to Puerto Rico. Be able to push that envelope forward. Now in politics, the same way. I believe, again, and some of the stuff we still can do, but we have to learn what worked and what didn't work. I think that's why we have people that paved the way before us. A lot of stuff that they tried didn't work. However, they were very courageous, and that's what I will give them. So again, they weren't as educated as we are. So they just knew to do what they needed to do. But I believe this generation and generation that's coming behind us is going to be in a good position to make some changes. And again, it's more on the policy side.
Absolutely. So I guess that kind of leads into my next thought. I guess as this, like you said, this new wave comes in, what makes them more responsive? What makes them, and not necessarily better, but like able to lead?
No, I think social media. I think social media plays a huge part in this. I didn't have that coming up. So a lot of stuff that we see now, it's like constantly, it's on our phones. So it makes one more in tune to what's going on in the world, not only in Springfield, but in the world. The George Floyd incident, some of these other incidents really blew up because of social media, and everything that happens now, it's on social media within 30 seconds of it happening. So I think that alone is changing the world, and it's changing our future leaders to be more aware. Because I was close to it, because my parents protected me from it. I just didn't have the opportunity. All I had to do was focus on my books, focus on playing basketball, get good grades, and go to school, and that was it. That's all I had to focus on. But now we're in a century now where everything's on your phone and you see everything.
Absolutely.
So I think that alone teaches them and prepares them and makes them more aware of what's going on in our world, in our community.
Absolutely. Yes. So is there, and again, I'm not familiar with the complexion of Springfield politics, but even as from a leadership perspective, is there like a level of mentoring that goes on, like within, the group,
Well, I can only speak for myself. I do look to mentor younger individuals, whether it's female or male. I take a lot of people under my wing, even my job as an associate executive director at the Y. I try to give them my insight, and again, you take it further than me. But we do have a responsibility as city councilors to make sure we're giving back and reaching not down, but reaching across to say, hey, this is how I did it. It may not work for you. However, I'm here to help. And if you need anything from me, I'm here. Just prime example, we have some city councils that are running at large. And again, I'm no expert, but those that reach out to me or for some advice, I lend them, I give them my phone number. Let's meet, let's have a coffee, and I'll tell you what I know and what worked for me. and that's our responsibility. Some people, not all, some people feel like that's a threat, and they don't give back. But I think it's in me to do that.
Absolutely. So, kind of a loaded question. Do you think that it is like, when you talk about threats or people being threatened or people not receiving information or help, do you think it's a specific group, that falls into,
Yeah, I don't think necessarily a group, but I think it's just an individual basis. I truly believe it's how you were brought up. That's just, it's either in you or it's not. I just, my mother always taught me to give back, help somebody else out, because you just never know. Because you never know when you're going to need somebody, right?
Absolutely.
So I may be on top now, but who's to say within a year or 6 months, this person may be on top and I may need something.
Absolutely.
So that just makes the world better, man. I just truly believe that, you're good to people, good will come back to you.
Yeah. Okay. So last thought. I had a discussion with a colleague probably like 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about the level of leadership in Springfield, and for lack of a better term, how top heavy it was, right? So you have a lot of wise people, with the thought that there may not be mentees under them, right? To take the mantle over, right? So I guess my first question is that true, or in your opinion, close to being true?
Yeah. So it's a good question. In the Black community, my father, who's still alive, he's 79, getting ready to turn 80. He has a group that I feel, and we have this conversation a lot, that dropped the ball. And what I mean by that is they didn't take guys like myself or other folks that are interested in learning under their wings. So in the Black community, yes, we do have a void. Now, if you look at the Hispanic community, they actually they have folks that are older and they have middle age that are lined up to be in position to take over. So yes, in the Black community, we do have a void, and it's glaring, and it's something that needs to be addressed, and that's something that we have a hard time coming together. And it's unfortunate. It's always someone throwing darts at each other, and it's always us. So yes, I would actually agree with that statement. And how we fix that, I don't know. That's $1 million question.
Yeah. So I guess the final thought for you would be then, like, if you had mentors in the room, what would you encourage them to do? Right.
It may sound simple, but I just really believe we just have to work together. Whether we have different agendas, different opinions, I should say. But at the end of the day, if we all come together for the common good, whether I might believe something needs to be done a certain way, we have to humble ourselves, and I don't want to use our humble. We have to really just look at what's better for the good of the group, and take that approach versus my personal feelings. So leave your personal feelings at the door, because once we come together, this city will be ours, and this whole world will be ours. Be honest with you. But that's the question. If we are going to come together.
Absolutely. Well, Lavar, it's been a pleasure. Really enjoyed it, and hopefully we can get you back on so we can ask you some challenging questions.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, and thank you all for listening. Have a great day. Thank you.